We built this city on rock and roll. Built this city. We built this city on rock and roll.
Hello, Lollygaggers. Got another week on tap here at Lollygagging Sports. I am Bo Reed along with Samantha Bunton and Matthew Irby. We got another week here. Baseball is in full swing now. Some guys are still off to really slow starts. We're not going to talk about that tonight, though. At least not, I don't think. Samantha, how you doing?
I'm good. We may be talking about some people who are off to some slow starts, actually. So stand by for that. But I am good. I'm going to go witness in person some folks who are off to a slow start. We are headed to Pittsburgh this weekend because my Guardians are going to be in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Also, my in-laws live there, and it's Easter. That's the real reason we're going. But we're going to go see the Guardians. So speaking of slow starts, the Pittsburgh Pirates. I shall see them and report back to you all. Is it as bad as we think it is? Probably. Stand by.
Yeah, it probably is. All right, Irby, how about you? How are things in North Texas?
Good. We're celebrating the one and only Bruce Bochy's 70th birthday today. 70.
Well, they got to get a win for his birthday, right?
Right. Well, he's actually 11 and 12 on his birthday, so yes, got to get him to 500.
I don't know. I can make the argument that if they lose, then he's got to manage another at least 2 years to have a shot at getting back at 500 on his birthday.
And then he has to go manage the Rockies after that when he hits 500.
Well, that's pushing your luck big time out there.
Yeah, I think that is pushing. That might be pushing. I don't know. He is the World Series whisperer. Maybe if anyone can get those Rockies a world championship, it's Bruce Bochy.
We're just trying to get him to 500. That was the goal.
Well, then they're not going to be.
Yeah, that is
Bruce
their
Bochy.
World Series.
Oh, God. Oh boy! All right. Well, we got a fun show here tonight. You wanna kick us off, Samantha, with a little MLB rapid fire?
Now let's get right into it. These guys get 10 questions. Actually, tonight they get 11 because I can't edit. So there will be 11 questions tonight, and these guys, they don't get to think about it. They don't get to explain themselves. They just got to answer it. You will have the opportunity at the end to go back and elaborate on one of your answers. So let's stick with the Rockies for the first one. They've got some new city connects. It's a little bit like being inside a Taco Bell in 1998. What are your impressions of these? What does this say to you? To me, it said Taco Bell circa 1998, possibly also Saved by the Bell. What did these say to you? What did the Rocky City Connect say when they talked to you?
It made me miss Double Dare.
Again with the Double Dare?
Mm-hmm.
So the Giants and the Rockies.
Oh, you know what? I'm confusing the Giants and the Rockies, aren't I? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. No. The Taco Bell reference then that'd be about the best. That's actually pretty good.
Irby?
Yo quiero Taco Bell, I guess. I don't. That's all they need is the little chihuahua to run out there and everything. Yeah, what is this?
God, I hated that chihuahua. I hated that chihuahua as much as I hated the rally monkey.
Well, there you go. And they're not going to put Dinger in this, right? Like, please? No?
He's already... I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of purple happening here. They did specifically cite Purple Mountain's Majesty, who's very birdcage, in their summary of this. Talk about your Purple Mountain's Majesty, and it made possibly even less sense in this context because, like, I believe they're a little bit confused about the color of purple and also what mountains look like. I don't know. Okay.
Of all the teams, they should know what the mountains look like.
It's rough out there. They're not that shade of purple. Nothing in nature is that shade of purple. So a bit tough there. City Connects, not going great so far this season. Okay. more things that are not going great. Chris Sale. I mean, how concerned are we? Like, on a scale of 1 to just like Braves in general. They are getting Strider back finally, so that says something. But you were kind of also counting on Chris Sale being not terrible. So where are we at on this? Is this a blip, or is he going to cut up another uniform and that's going to be the end of that?
Maybe that's what he needs to do.
That's true.
Right? Like
therapeutic, sure.
Yeah, kind of like sacrificing the live rooster in the clubhouse. He's gonna get the team together. They're gonna cut up a jersey. He's gonna burn it in a trash can.
All right. Well, if the Braves are getting a City Connect this year, that might actually be a boon for all of us. Irby, Chris Sale, thoughts?
Sure. Bring him a jersey out on the mound visit and have him cut it up between batters. This not good.
Yeah, my understanding is I was told he changed his arm angle, which doesn't seem great when one changes one's arm angle without intending to. So that seems a little rough. Owner bobbleheads. Guys, how are we feeling about this? This weekend, the Baltimore Orioles are giving out a David Rubenstein bobblehead. So my question for you is there a scenario, and you cannot say Bill Veck, where you would want an owner bobblehead?
No.
Irby?
No. Any sport.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is just the tone deafness. Yikes. So Daniel
Remind me to come back to that one, please.
Okay. We will come back to that. Daniel Schneemann, Cleveland Guardian, utility player, big time hustler, maybe not the guy with the most talent on the team, got a little league home run over the weekend. So I just wanted to take a moment. It's not really a question, but just to appreciate the little league home run. Because everybody knocks it. It's not really an inside the park home run. Yes, we know, right? But man, you got to hustle hard to get that. So just justice for the little league home run when we see it in the major leagues.
Hey, look, I am a big fan of the little league home run because exactly for you, like it shows hustle.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you think about it, right? Like that's a long way to run. Full sprint. Long way to go with turns and bases and all kinds of stuff. Yeah, I love the Little League home run.
Yeah. RB?
Yes, 100% on board. This is a sport that you can make bad contact and get a hit, make great contact, get an out. You take them how you get them.
Yeah, that's right. And that hustle sure goes a long way. Jung-Hoo Lee, San Francisco Giant, has now his own fan group called the Hooligans. Is this just like the best fan pun-driven fan club ever? I mean, Hooligans. Incredible.
Absolutely. Love it. There's going to be some fan bases that have notorious fans that are going to want to try to steal that. We can't let that happen. It's perfect.
RB?
I had not heard this one. That is fantastic. That is well done. Slow clap, golf clap. Well done.
Listen, it gets better. My favorite part of this is there are 51 of them because his jersey number is 51. So, if you want to be in this thing, someone's got to die.
Oh my gosh!
Wow,
incredible.
That is incredible.
Oh, what do? So is it? So the fan club's 51. They may not all be at the same game, or do you use it only 51 people per game?
Only 51 people.
In general. Well, what if he changed his number to 65? Do they have some sort of a draft process?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you would have a draft of people on the waiting.
Yes, tryouts. Right? Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
You should have to try out for those spots. Or if one opens up because someone has had enough and doesn't want to be in the club anymore, they want to sit at the cool kids table. So you got to have a tryout. You can't just put anybody in there.
I
mean, not the Rockies.
This has big Chicago Bears letting people try out to be their kicker in the parking lot energy, and I am here for it. I would love to see one of those spots open up just to see what happens. Okay, so they're down a few seats in Wrigley Field because a Goose moved in. So the Goose lives in the bleachers now. So Goose moves in, Justin Steele blows out his UCL. are we looking at a goose curse?
Yes.
If they go like 2 decades without winning a World Series, there's going to be Chicago Cub fans executing geese all over this world.
Right, and this is my concern, right? And because like geese are like protected, right?
Yep.
So like, is someone going to jail over this at some
Yes.
point? Probably.
100%.
Well, okay. Also, I mean, what are the Cubs supposed to do here? Because their first curse was about a goat they didn't let in. This time they leave the goose alone. They get cursed anyway. Like, what are they supposed to do? It's a very mixed messages here, right? Like,
I feel like the animal kingdom does not like the Cubs.
Yeah. Which, again, I don't know what you do about it if they had ejected the goose. I don't know. Maybe if you eject the animal, it's worse than if you don't. But either way, you're getting a curse, which is very unfortunate because there's a lot of wildlife that just flies around in that particular area of the world. So, like, it's very unfortunate for the Cubs having this type of trouble with these animals.
It's particularly bad when you get something like a goose when it's a protected animal, because if it's anything else, you can just politely clear it out. I mean, unless you're talking about the feral cats. The feral cats, whatever. You cannot clear the feral cats out. The feral cats will just come back. But, like, presumably you could clear this goose out, except that you're not allowed because you would be violating federal law. So that's pretty rough. Goose curse, protected goose curse. I don't know. Everybody hates geese, but you're not allowed to touch the geese. It's tough. We're probably not going to put the Cubs on this list, but fan base sadness index. Who's at the top for you right now? What is the saddest fan base in Major League Baseball right now? I'm going to go ahead and say you cannot say the Braves. But who's the saddest fan base?
Well, you took away the most obvious one. Okay, then second place on the list would be the Orioles. Has to be.
Orioles?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Irby?
This is what I think or what somebody thinks themselves.
Well, it's not if you're sad. It's if the fan base is sad.
So a fan base that's identifying themselves as sad right now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then I'm going to say the Dodgers fans because they're in third. This is not what they were supposed to be.
Ugh, ew. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to go Twins. Orioles, also pretty rough. I would agree with that. All right, how about that? Where's the happiness index at? No Padres. No Padres, guys. Who is it?
Yeah, I don't know. You take away the Padres, take away maybe the Cubs because they're off to a better start than even anyone thought.
No, man, they just got a goose curse and lost their best pitcher. It's not the Cubs.
They're still off to a great start though. I don't know. I think the Cubs. If you take
we're
away the
gonna
Padres.
mark that wrong.
Okay.
Irby?
Blue Jays.
That's my
Blue
pick
Jays
too.
fan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not gonna last, right? But you have to be so happy because, like, how?
Yeah.
Agree.
This is not supposed to happen, but it's happening. So let's run with this.
All right. Well, here's somebody. This is another team that I think is a candidate for that. But I want to talk to you about a specific player, which is Hunter Green. Hitters are batting 0 off his slider. 0 for 29. Batting average of 0. Incredible. So, like, are the Reds for real? Did the Reds, go into a semi-rebuild and accidentally put together a decent team? What do we think?
Yes. That team can flat out pitch. If they could just get some offense going, they're going to be dangerous. I think so. Yeah, I think they did.
Yes. The offense is weird because it can put up tons of runs and it can put up a whole lot of zeros.
Yeah, three straight 1-0 losses. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm actually more worried about the pitching staff because of the park that you play 50% of your games in.
Right.
So Hunter Green aside, I think the pitching is a major concern there, but they look good. You know who doesn't look good? The Rockies. Which is fine. They never look good. Their fans aren't sad. They're fine. They've got Dinger. They have their Taco Bell uniforms. They're okay. But they also have a negative 50 run differential coming into Wednesday night. Negative 50. The next closest is the Pirates at negative 24. So that's half. So, Bo, I want to get your thoughts on this too, but this is mostly for you, or the person who was tracking the like horrendous run differentials of interest, like 50.
How many games have they played?
Off to a potentially historic start.
They're 3-14.
So 17 games in, they have been outscored by 50 runs.
Yes.
I really would like to know if that is historically a bad start. I can't imagine that something outside of the Cleveland Spiders being this bad.
Well, how bad is that Marlins team, Irby? That's what I wanted to ask you. I think we waited a little longer before we looked into it because the number was definitely worse. But were they off to this bad of a start?
Which team?
I think it was that Marlins team that we were looking at a couple of years ago.
Oh, yes.
It was. I think it might have even been the same season that we were looking at the Dolphins team that had that really, really rough scoring differential.
For the record, minus 24 of Pittsburgh, also not great.
Yeah, also bad, right? And yet somehow this is more than twice as bad.
But luckily for them, they've got the Rockies in this season, so no one's going to be talking about that. But you kind of want to take a look at that Pittsburgh because that's pretty bad.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. Okay, last one. The A's medical cart ran out of gas on the field. It ran out of gas. I mean, they had to push it off the field. I mean, is this just the most John Fisher thing ever? They didn't even put gas in the medical cart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it absolutely. Just carry him off the field. That doesn't cost anything. Yes. Like, how are you not topping that off before the game? Like,
how much gas are you using when you're driving that thing, 500 feet or whatever, that, like, you were so overwhelmed by all the gas you were using that you didn't refill it? Like, I mean, how often do you really have to refill that thing? Once every couple of weeks? Like, come on.
Is the gauge off? Like, what
it's
happened?
Probably broken.
Yeah. And they can't fix it because it's a John Fisher team.
Irby?
Yes, this one I laughed so much at that. I think the funniest part is I saw the headline and I saw the golf cart at first, and I didn't even need to see the team.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, "This is the A's." Yep, it's the A's. It's the A's.
Yep. All right, what did you guys want to come back to, Irby? I think you wanted to talk about the owner bobbleheads.
Yes, the owner bobbleheads. This is the one time I question for you guys, because I know what my answer is going to be. It's the obvious one. Is this the time that when you've got your ticket, you paid your ticket, you're walking in and they're handing you the bobblehead and you look at them and go, "No, I'm good."
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Although I do that with a lot of promotional items because, like, most of that stuff I don't want. But the bigger problem is, do people take it and then, like, smash the face and throw it on the field?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just think don't give somebody an effigy of you when people are kind of pissed at you.
Yep. I'm a little surprised. It shows how much Baltimore fans are paying attention to the promotional calendar, because that is a perfect protest opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Mm-hmm. Right? Yep. Like, either you do a game where you're like, okay, nobody show up. And of course, you are trying to have some people show up. It's not going to be completely empty, but, the attendance takes a hit because you organize a protest, or you take it to that extreme level, like you're talking about, Smith, where you light it on fire and throw it on the field.
Yeah, what could go wrong? So many things.
So many.
All right, Bo, anything you want to come back to?
I was going to come back to this one as well, just to say, please, God, don't anyone ever tell Jerry Jones about this. Please.
It'll happen.
Do they even give things out at football games? Like, do they?
No, he wouldn't.
Really.
It wouldn't be a promotional item. It would be something he would charge $150 for in the pro shop, the team shop.
Oh, right. Is this one of those things where then somebody, like his assistant, like probably, remember that kid that used to have to polish his glasses during games? Do you think that kid has to go in and buy out all the bobbleheads when nobody buys them so that Jerry won't find out and, like, be upset that nobody bought his bobblehead? So they send that kid down there with, like, a corporate card. Yeah. And then Jerry's like, they sold out. It was a great idea. And I'm like, oh, my guy, no.
I mean, it's not like Jerry Jones bought tickets on his own so he would have sellouts and avoid blackouts in the early days of his tenure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's bad. All right.
Another one for you to come back on, that Marlins team you were asking about, the 1998 Marlins. At this point, we're in negative 28.
See, I'm telling you.
So the Rockies really are kind of world beating on this.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. This is something we're going to need to track.
Yeah.
Like if you've been asked, not just Rockies, we're talking about like the White Sox, for example, right? After the year they had last year and really kind of taking another step back with the roster going into this year. If somebody proposed to you that, okay, well, you think they would be at negative 50, 17 games in, you're probably taking the under on that. Because it's not enough time for them to accumulate that many losses to the point where you're negative 50. That's how ridiculous this is. Like, you're not even thinking the White Sox would do it.
So many games by like 8. The White Sox are at negative 12 as of this recording. So they're nowhere close to that.
Right.
I mean, the worst ones you're seeing, like Pittsburgh, I mean, the Pirates one is bad, right? But like other than that, like nobody's, negative 17. That's the Braves, by the way, is the worst one that we have. So, I mean, or you could go with the AL West where everyone in the division has a negative run differential.
Yeah, how about that?
Which is also funny. But
have the worst run differential in the American League and tied for the best record in the American League. That makes sense.
Yeah. And tied for the worst run differential, which tells you that, like, mostly this doesn't mean anything at this point in time, but that negative 50, it's hard to say that doesn't mean anything.
Right? Like, you're not coming back from that.
Yeah, I don't know how you come back from that. Okay, so moving on. Red Sox documentary on Netflix. I don't know how many of you have seen this, but I thought we could talk a little bit about it because I think there's some interesting stuff here, both in terms of what's in the show and sort of what this means for sports documentaries and sort of the general... let's call it problem with sports documentaries at this particular time. So, Irby has not seen this yet. If it's not his fault, he did not get to this, but I want to get his thoughts on some of this too. But Bo, I'm going to go to you first because I want to talk a little bit about the content of the documentary. Bo watched the entire series between Sunday and today, which is Wednesday when we're recording. And folks, this is nothing. This man once watched, what was it? 6 seasons of Game of Thrones in 11 days.
That's right. 11
we were
days.
Seriously worried about him, and he just plowed right on through, man. He hit that red wedding, and he was just like, wow, I'm traumatized, and then he just kept going. And he was okay. He is still with us to this day.
Oh, the Arya scenes which traumatized him the most.
Okay.
Oh,
listen,
right.
okay?
Yeah.
You got to understand, like, she was like 10 years old.
No, I know why.
When I first started watching, 11 days later, whoa.
Was still thinking of this as a 10-year-old girl because she literally was a 10-year-old girl less than a week before that when he was watching season 1. So anyway, so this is nothing. He just moved to his Red Sox talk. So, okay, before we get to you, Irby, let's talk a little bit. You and I can talk a little bit about the content here. So what did you like? What didn't you like in terms of what we actually saw here? Any highlights, lowlights? What do you think?
So I definitely liked how it seemed like, because a lot of these sports documentaries, they try to create drama, right? I thought that they did a good job of just following the Red Sox around and cutting it together. I thought they did not necessarily a great job with it, but a better job than you see with some of these sports documentaries. It wasn't, we're gonna create drama by doing this. We're actually gonna artificially do things in this documentary. But they just followed them around for a year, for a season, which I thought was a lot better than most documentaries. The trade deadline episode was my favorite because we're all nerds for the trade deadline, right? So that was my personal favorite, especially when you're looking like 4 days before the deadline. They didn't know what they wanted to do. And you wonder how many teams actually, because we think, okay, going into July, they know what they're going to, it's if the team does X, they're going to do Y, and you get these teams that are in between, like, well, we really could go for it, but we really don't want to mortgage. That was the Red Sox last year, and you saw that in the trade deadline episode. So it had its moments. I could have used the bullpen piece a little bit sooner than the last episode, because the bullpen is just an entity that I want to see more of, because it's so secretive. The bullpen, like, they never talk about the bullpen. Never talk about what goes on in the bullpen. Are they watching the game? Are they just sitting there? Are they constantly just moving their arms in circles to stay warm? Like, what are they doing during the game? You see that in this series. So, look, they did some good things. They also exposed that some of those guys are a little eccentric, which I can appreciate to an extent, but a couple of them, wow. But no, overall, I really enjoyed it. I mean, it was 8 episodes, hour apiece. So it was 8 hours of viewing that I did really since Monday, not just Sunday. I actually did this Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But no, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was one of the better documentaries I've seen.
Yeah, I think the trade deadline thing was interesting, because one of my criticisms of this is that I don't think this is really for baseball people, because you're not really going to learn anything.
Mm-hmm.
The behind the scenes here is mostly stuff you already know. So I think the trade deadline piece was sort of the highlight of that, and the one thing that kind of broke from that, which is that, like you said, we think of these teams as like, no, the plan was the plan all along. It's just a matter of how it breaks. And it's like, no, this is a good example of seeing, like, yeah, sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes they really don't know what on earth they're going to do under these circumstances. So I thought that was kind of cool, interesting. To your point about the bullpen, that's where I think they kind of missed on that. This is an opportunity to show actual baseball people something in your baseball documentary,
right?
And they missed on that. And so we're going to get into that a little bit with her, because I have some thoughts about maybe what didn't work here and sort of sports stocks in general. But yeah, I'm with you on the trade deadline stuff. I was curious to get your thoughts too about sort of some of the main characters here. Tristan Cassis, Brian Bayo, Jaron Duran.
Yep.
Sort of the central characters. I didn't love the Duran storyline. I mean, there's part of me that thinks if this helps someone, this is great. But it's also a pretty predictable arc. It's a little bit icky in terms of, like, the exploitative qualities of that. I didn't love that. I think a better illustrator was, that scene with the car where his car battery dies.
Yeah.
I thought was interesting, and it's a really good sort of representation of, like, Duran is like, I am going to fix this car myself, even if I, like, explode myself and, like, blow off a hand and destroy the car. And Tristan Cassis is standing there, and he is like, dude, just call AAA. I mean, hilarious, because he accidentally called the rental company
right?
Instead of AAA, which was very funny. But, like, it was a great sort of illustration of these two people and how you have this one guy who's like, just ask for help, it's fine. And then the guy who you can argue has had a lot of problems because he wouldn't ask for help, is going to, like, tear his own arm off trying to change a car battery, which is, like, 100% not something you need to do for yourself when you are literally on the bus for a car.
Yeah.
So I thought that stuff was kind of interesting. But I also think this story needs a hero, and it didn't get one, which was a little tough.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you on the Duran part. I'm okay with, like, the interview in his apartment where he wants to bring this stuff out. He's bringing this stuff out. I think where they went a little too far, it was going back and then asking the parents how they felt about it.
That's the part that I kind of
that for me was the ick. Like, you should have left it there. Like, he didn't,
especially since so much of it was about his issues with his relationship with his father. Right? Like, this just was, like, big time ick. Like, I don't know about this, you guys.
Yeah, that was definitely. That's where I think they crossed the line. The one thing I did like, though, I don't think they overdid this, and this is something that's easy to overdo when you're doing a documentary like this. They didn't overdo the impact of the baseball aspect on the family. Like, they had some stuff. They had a couple of the wives on there. They had Craig Breslow's wife on there, but it wasn't overdone. I thought they touched on it just enough to give you a glimpse of what it is lifestyle wise for these players and these front office personnel. I don't think they overdid that, which was that's a little surprise for me, because they usually do.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I think we've seen way too much of that in these things, and I always come away with it never knowing whether I'm supposed to, like, pity this person or applaud them as a hero. And I don't actually think either of those things sits all that well with me.
Right.
So I don't love the, like, oh, his poor murdered spouse who has to raise her children on her own and has no help with anything. Like, I don't love that perspective, but I also don't love the, gosh, isn't she tough being a single parent? And you're just like, man, this is a bad look either way. Yeah. So I was glad they didn't dive too much into that. Okay, so question then for both of you, which is really more about sports stocks in general and sort of where this thing did well and where it didn't. I think, first of all, there are too many sports documentaries. There's just too many of
way
them.
too many.
And I think the problem was, like, The Last Dance did so well. Drive to Survive has done so well that now everybody thinks they need one of these things. And, Hard Knocks, I think, is a completely different animal. But, like, I think especially difficult with baseball because you don't know how the season is going to go, right? It's a really long season, so a lot of this feels very tribal, right? Who's going to be the audience for this one's probably Red Sox fans, except you're not telling Red Sox fans anything they don't already know for the most part. So, like, who wants to watch this when, at the end of the day, the 2024 Red Sox were not a particularly memorable team. They were not particularly good. They were not particularly bad. They were just kind of there. Right. So there's no big denouement at the end of this to show you anything. And I think that's tough under the circumstances. And I also think I just fail to understand how this is going to bring new fans to the sport. Like, we've talked a lot, and Irby, I want to talk to you about this, about Drive to Survive, and how, because you and I are both people who've been following up one for a while since before Drive to Survive started. That's brought in a lot of new fans to the sport. There are a lot of people paying attention to F1 who were not because of Drive to Survive specifically. I don't think there's going to be anybody who is suddenly watching baseball because they saw this. So who is this for? And, like, is this a problem? Is part of the problem just baseball? Like, I mean, what do you do with 162 games worth of footage? And also, like, nobody wants to watch baseball highlights from, like, a meaningless game. But, like, I don't know. Or, like, where are you at on this, especially relative to sort of the Drive to Survive phenomenon?
Yeah, no, this is good. I mean, the first thing, just the explanation you guys give, I am excited to watch this documentary and see some of this stuff. I am one that is a sucker sometimes for a good sports documentary, but I'm also a sucker for real good documentaries, period. And so to your point, yes, about the Drive to Survive, I think one of the things, because it does, and like what y'all were saying here, it definitely does drive the drama. I know I just used drive there again. I shouldn't. It pushes the drama. And it's done. The timing, I think what does so well about it, the timing of it, if you've never seen it, it's the season before, and it comes out the week before the new season comes out. Right. So for me, that's the big thing. Like, here we are, like this is almost like my primer before the new season coming, everything. They do definitely push the drama, because if you pay attention to the season, there's lots of audio that you're like, that audio is not from that race. Like, I see what you're doing.
Oh, yeah, no, it is very, like, MTV reality show from, like, the early 2000s, like Laguna Beach, where, like, their mouth doesn't match the words, and you know that they went and like, did, like, a read of that later. They're like, hey, we need you to say these things. Like,
well, and they have the one reporter, the English reporter, Will, he's, oh my gosh, he's so horrible. It's so painful. He's Captain Obvious on there, and I don't know. It gets me every time I get excited, but he's starting in 20th. That means he has to pass 19 cars to win. Thanks, man. Appreciate you.
Score more points than the other guy.
Woo! That's great. But yes, so what I think that, Drive to Survive, where something like that can be successful is that you are following 10 teams, but you're essentially following 20 drivers. Total. Right, each team has only 2 drivers, and that's why you can be successful. Whereas here, it sounds like if you like the Red Sox, or if you like certain players on here, this is definitely going to be entertaining. Or if you just like sports documentaries. But if I'm a diehard Yankees fan, I might be hate watching this, but I probably won't watch it at all.
One, and that's the problem, right? Yeah, if you're a Yankee fan, of course you're not going to watch this. But, like, if you're, I don't know, an Arizona Diamondbacks fan, are you watching this? You have no particular animosity towards the Red Sox, but you also, like, don't give a crap what the Red Sox are doing, right? And that's the problem. It's like Drive to Survive, as you correctly pointed out. You're following 20 drivers. So there's some for everybody, right? Like, there is a way to engage with anybody who's just interested in the sport. Whereas for baseball fans, it's like, unless you are a Red Sox fan, somebody who is sort of, I don't know, Red Sox curious or whatever, like, you're probably not watching this unless you are a diehard baseball fan, if you're not in that particular fan base. And you're also not going to this being like, maybe I'll become a fan of baseball. I don't know. I'll watch this. Like, let me tell you, like, this is not the path. Like, it's not like Drive to Survive in that way. But,
and that's so interesting, because, like, I really now, I want to look at this from that lens as well. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad you did this, because I have multiple, I'm probably people that I have gotten it, that have not watched F1, if I've told them, watch this series first, you don't have to watch the whole thing, but watch some of it before starting to watch races, I'm probably at like 90% success rate of getting them into the sport.
Right, but I don't think that would work with this. Yeah.
And that's now I'm loving that I haven't seen it because I want to watch it from that lens and see, is this something? Yeah, ooh. Now you got me excited. There we go. I'm going to have to start that tonight now.
Good. All right. Well, you'll have to let us know then what you think about that perspective. And Bo, as somebody who has seen it, but I want to get your thoughts on this too.
Yeah, I found it interesting that this was not released in March, just to lead up to baseball season. Like to your point, like the Formula One guy goes the week before the season. Why wasn't this released?
Right, they dropped it when the season started.
Right, I would have dropped it in spring training. Or
I agree.
Or I mean, you've got that window between the Super Bowl and spring training where there's nothing. It's the dog days of the NBA and the NHL seasons. You're still a few weeks away from March Madness. Like, that was a good window to drop this in.
Right. Well, and we've talked about how, as a baseball fan, you're desperate for anything baseball at that point in time, right? But like, once the baseball season started, like, why would I want to watch footage of last year when I could just go watch, literal, actual, current live baseball?
Yeah.
Like, that's tough.
Yeah.
So,
and it did, just because I'm a huge baseball fan, like, I got no problems watching a series about the Red Sox. It was kind of cool for me to see some of those inner workings of a baseball season, but I'm also a baseball nerd. If I didn't like baseball, actually, no, I'll take it another level. I would not watch this for an NFL team.
Right. Well, and I think you've hit it perfectly there. And that's why I was kind of saying, like, yeah, if you're like a baseball nerd, like, we're baseball nerds. Like,
yeah, I'll watch this.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you're going to watch that. You don't care that it's the Red Sox. You're probably watching this if it's any team except Houston. Right?
Yes.
Like, no matter who it was, we were going to watch this with one exception.
Yep.
So we were going to watch it. The Red Sox fans were going to watch it. But you know who's not watching this? People who are like, yeah, I enjoy a game or two of baseball a year. Sometimes I tune into the playoffs. I like going to the ballpark and drinking beer and eating hot dogs. I think you hit it perfectly there when you said I wouldn't watch this for an NFL team. And I feel the exact same way.
Yeah.
Like, there's no chance.
I would not watch it.
Hold on, but you hit on something there. The Astros have the ability to have the most watched baseball documentary ever.
No, they don't. I'm not watching that.
I'm not watching
couldn't pay me to watch that.
If you give the insight and you have the players and they are truthful in everything about what they did and why.
Why would that? Okay,
I know they won't
I
do
would
it.
also like Santa Claus to be real, but like, if they told the truth, sure thing. Man, has the statute of limitations run out on like Hall of Fame eligibility for like thing 1 and thing 2 over there, who have, as near as I can tell, become more victim-y about it every single year as though this was something that was done to them. Yeah, not happening.
2 decades from now, that thing's going to pop up suddenly, and we're going to have to see Jose Altuve fake tears going, I didn't mean it to go so far. You did.
Yeah. That was one piece of this that kind of irked me. Was when they talked to Alex Cora about it, and on camera, he knows he's being on when he's on camera, like he's sorry, and it went too far. It was addictive. It started out with one thing, and then we just kept doing it, nonsense, and then they immediately cut to him on the field, and a fan yells about trash cans. It was 5 years ago. Like, you can't ask for a mea culpa on camera and then dismiss it as, it was only 5. You cheated. Just in case there's a couple of people out there that actually support the Astros listening to this podcast, which I doubt. But just in case, they cheated to win the sport's ultimate prize. There is no statute of limitations on this one, period. We're not going to get over it. We're never going to get over it.
Especially considering that title was not vacated, right? Like, that's the thing that would have let everybody get over it, right? If they had vacated the title, if they had done what they should have, if they had punished. I mean, you could argue, like, Alex Cora was one of the few people who actually was punished. Most of the people who should have been punished were not.
Right.
And the title was not vacated. So you don't get to sit there and say, I'm sorry, but I recently had a lot of conversations with somebody personally about this situation that it's you either say I'm sorry or you're not sorry. I'm sorry, but isn't an apology.
Right.
It's I'm sorry, but let me tell you why I don't really to be sorry, which is kind of what he's doing there. I also think it was bad that they didn't bring that up until, what was it, the third episode of this?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, this is like, there's like this big giant elephant clomping around in the locker room. And you're just like, you know, like, I know this is about the Red Sox, and the Red Sox, you know, the Apple Watch of it all. I'm sorry, that's not a real thing. That was something manufactured by the Astros people so that they could say other people are doing it too. That was not even close to the same thing, you know?
Yeah.
But Alex Cora, specifically, if you are going to, you have two choices here. Either you don't talk to Alex Cora about anything other than what is going on the field with the team that he is currently managing. Like, that is the only thing you discuss with him. Or you be upfront about this, and you basically tell him, if you're going to go confessional here, then that has to be it. You're either apologizing or you're not talking. But this isn't a platform for you to, again, be like, I'm sorry, but let me tell you why it's not my fault.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Yeah, didn't love that. Now they got Bretton over there, too. So, you know, who the hell knows? But what will happen to the Red Sox. All right.
Someone check the triangle for a camera.
Do you think, inside the pesky pole, there will be, and I say this as a person who deeply loves the Red Sox and would, like, probably never recover from it if that happened, which is why I'm so upset about Cora signing there. But, yeah, I'm, like, picturing, like, the green monster camera, like, that is going to show up there. It's bad.
Yeah.
All right. Anything more on the stock before we move on? I think we spent way too much time on this, but it is interesting to think about.
It was an interesting documentary. I am looking forward, Irby, when you do actually sit down and watch. I'm looking forward to your insights on it. But yeah, I'm done.
Yeah, we'll follow up with you. We're going to get your thoughts on this once you've seen it. So,
I'm not going to get it done in 3 days. Sorry.
Amateur.
Okay. No bonus episode on Monday.
I don't remember asking for your excuses, but fine.
I'm sorry, but
I'm not sorry. No, I'm not going to.
Listen, he's not going to.
I'm sorry, but
us, right? He's just going to say no. I'm not doing it.
I'm sorry, but yeah. All right, Irby, what do you have? What are you going to kick us off with on your side?
All right. Well, we're couple 20 games sitting about into the season a decent way. So let's I've got a few teams, players, combination of both. Here, I just want to get y'all's quick opinions. Are you panicking about their start? Or you having some patience?
Okay.
Panicking, or do you have some patience? So, and this is the first one, because this is what I do. I will say things, and then this player apparently listens to our podcast and goes out and has himself a game. And Jackson Holiday and the Orioles must have known that I was going to call out Jackson here today, but I'm still going to do it. I don't care if he hit a grand slam. Anybody could have on that pitch. So, Jackson Holiday and the Orioles, 101 wins 2 years ago, 91 wins last year. They are sitting at 6-10, fifth place in the East. Jackson Holiday starting to look like a quad A player.
Oof.
Pitching side, you've got your best pitching right now is Charlie Morton. He's 41, and I shouldn't say your best. He's still struggling too. Creamer is probably the guy you thought was going to get the job done. He's given up 13.2 hits per 9 innings. So Baltimore, fifth place. Who you turning to? You guys panicking, or is this still too early for them to worry?
Yeah, this was hard for me, Samantha, because I think they should worry. But it's not necessarily a panic, because this is what I expected out of when you're signing Kyle Gibson the last week of training camp or spring training, not for depth, but for your primary starting five, it lets you know where you're at.
I agree with you. I think that's the perfect way to put it. It's like, is this bad? Yes, but you can't really be panicking because you had to know this would be bad. Let's go back to the owner bobblehead.
Yeah.
That's what we know what you spent all your money on this offseason, right? We were wondering why you didn't sign anyone. Turned out they were buying owner bobbleheads. But I mean, yeah, this is bad. And I look like Charlie Morton is way too old to be out there. We just watched him pitch on, what was it, Tuesday night. It was ugly, like really ugly. I felt sorry for him. Even though it was my team who was kind of beating up on him. But it's not just that. It's, Perez, for example. What's his ERA? It's like 16 something. Now, this is one of your best relievers 2 years ago. So everybody's either hurt or just totally crapping out. And then, the Jackson Holiday of it all, like you said. I mean, yeah, you hit a grand slam. That's great off, a really, really crappy pitch that, probably, I could hit a grand slam. I could not hit a grand slam off of it. But, a quad A player, if you will. could hit a grand slam off of it, which is kind of, I think, what we're looking at here. So it's like, yeah, I mean, great. Now you're 1 for 16. Good job. Super. The fact that that one was a grand slam is not going to matter to anyone except Gavin Williams at the end of the day. So, yeah, it's bad.
All right, I'm with you guys, Bo. I think you said it well there. It's not a panic, but definitely worried how the rest of that division's playing, because we all thought the Blue Jays weren't going to be playing, but they're playing. So, all right.
Yeah.
Hey, they're there. They're doing better than we thought. But, all right, second one, little bit different here. The Chicago Cubs. We mentioned the Goose Curse a little while ago. Justin Steele lost for the year. Matt Shaw got demoted as well. We think Kyle Tucker might cool off at some point, but I don't know. You're still in first in the Central. But what was the goal here? Was it about making the playoffs, winning the division more? Like the goal that the Cubs have in mind with all this going on? Are you panicking, worried, keeping patient?
I'm going to keep patient with the Cubs. I think that the Steele injury is obviously unfortunate. If it had happened in July, where they would be already down the road with some trade discussions to get somebody in that rotation, I think it's a little bit better. They're going to have to slug their way in the starts that he was going to make to get it done. But the way they're hitting, they can do that. So I'm still patient.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely panicked about the injury, but not necessarily the impact of the injury on this particular season. Obviously, not ideal. Of course not. But your division's awful. Okay, I think we all agree this is probably the weakest division in baseball, right? So you got that going for you, and you got so you're down an ace, right? We've seen plenty of teams go really deep in the playoffs without a true ace, as long as they have guys who are ace adjacent. And Matt Boyd, who I will pound the table for Matt Boyd every time, has been fantastic. Is he Justin Steele at his peak? No, probably not. Is he good enough to sort of be like a limping ace type for a team if it's hitting well, if the rest of things are breaking right? Then yeah, who knows? If the Goose takes down another starter, though, I'm going to amend my opinion and say that I'm panicking.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'm patient here too. This is a front office that has shown in the past that if these guys are fighting for it, they will go out and add something to give them that little bit more boost. So, all right, next one, Bo. This one's going to hurt.
Oh boy.
But yeah, Marcus Semien and the Rangers offense. Marcus Semien is 34. He's the highest paid second baseman right now. The leadoff hitter is currently has a 365 OPS. He's only scored 4 runs on the season as we're recording, and he's not the only one. Seager has warmed up lately. He had a slow start, but he is definitely warming up. Jake Berger's not doing much. Adolis Garcia's home run or nothing, and his OPS shows that there are some home runs and some pop. Jock Peterson, 277 OPS.
Yeah.
The Rangers' offense right now, and the pitching's getting the job done, something we don't say often, but they have scored, going in while we're recording, to 55 runs. That ranks 28th, ahead of only the Rockies and the White Sox. You're still in first. You tie for the most wins in the American League. Are you panicking about what this offense is doing, or are you riding this out and being patient?
I'm not panicking yet. I can easily watch that last road trip because it was 2 degrees outside in most of those games. I will say I'm a little worried about Semien because he took a downturn last year, and this year he's off to a not so obviously great start. But I'm not panicking just yet.
Listen, as somebody whose team has not seen production offensively out of second base since, I was 17 or something, I'm here to tell you, don't worry, you don't need one. It's fine. It is extraneous. It's sort of like a gallbladder. You don't need it, apparently.
Wow.
Do you really need a second baseman? Apparently not.
And now we're going to have to do a segment later on of what is the body organ to each position. We know second base is the gallbladder.
Does that make right field the tonsils?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, sure.
No, you need you need a right fielder. I disagree. No, left field is probably the appendix, not the offensive portion of left field, but the defensive portion. If you just stuck no one out there, would you be okay? Probably.
Fair enough.
All right, I'm the same. I'm patient. I think there's enough offense there. There's enough guys that have shown they can hit that they're going to turn around. Peterson is actually the one that I'm most concerned about. I'm with you, Bo, on the Simeon. The Peterson, the problem there is what happens when and if the Rangers could get healthy and keep, I don't know, Josh Young and Wyatt Langford on the field at the same time. With Dustin Harris up now hitting, they're starting to run out of at bats for Peterson if he doesn't hit. So we'll get there. Good problems to have. Last one. You know what? We've seen this a lot. You get your big payday, and then Corbin Burns. What is this going on in Arizona? 3 starts in, 5.28 ERA, 5.89 FIP, a 1.565 WHIP, and the worst one, all those are career highs at the moment right now for a season, 5.3 walks per 9 innings. The Arizona Diamondbacks, this is a weird one. They are tied for second in the league, Major League, in quality starts. They're also tied for third in starting pitchers to allow 5 or more runs. What? This is not what you paid for. This is not what this rotation is supposed to be doing. Are we concerned? Are you panicked? It's just a bad start for this Arizona starting rotation, mostly Corbin Burns.
I'm not panicking just yet, but ask me in a week, I might change my opinion.
Just one more start, that's enough for you? Okay, I'm not hating.
Like one more turn through that rotation, if it's still awful, then we may have to start looking for that panic button.
Listen, I would love to blame this on the fact that your numbers aren't going to get worse if you go to pitch in Arizona, because it is a bad place to pitch. The ball flies. It's not a good place to pitch, and yet people manage to put up decent numbers pitching there. You have several people in that rotation with you who are doing just that, who have done that in the past. So I don't know that I buy that Corbin Burns, same guy, perk factors. I'm not buying that. I will, however, withhold my panic for sometimes people are really discombobulated when they go to a different park where the environment's really different. So if he can make an adjustment to it, because it's a weird place to pitch. It's not as weird as Colorado because you're not dealing with the altitude thing, Barry, but you are dealing with a place where the ball behaves really, really differently. So if he needs some time to adjust into that, I'm willing to give him that. I want to revisit this in let's say the beginning of June. If those numbers aren't coming down sharply, then you absolutely have a huge, huge problem. You might say you have yourself a Jordan Montgomery-sized problem.
Yeah.
Oh, boy, the free agent pitching signings there are not going well. But for now, I think I'm going to give him a little grace and say, that's a tough adjustment to make, and it might be a little weird for a while.
Yeah, this keeps going. Good luck convincing that owner to put out another check for a free agent starter.
All right. Well, I'm the same. I don't want to panic on this one yet. I am concerned because I think we've seen this before with starting pitchers especially, and hitters as well. I should say it is both. They get that big paycheck, and suddenly, you've lost the nerve. You've lost that edge. And in professional sports, you lose that edge just a little bit. And, stuff like this happens.
Are you more concerned because it's early April and hitters aren't supposed to be catching up to pitchers just yet? Does that make you more concerned for a starting pitcher that's struggling as opposed to, say, a Marcus Semien?
Well, it depends where he's located, doesn't it, though? I mean, Arizona is not exactly facing the same, weather adversity most teams are facing.
True.
Being in the Northeast, so.
Yeah. Put it that way. There you go. Yep. All right. Well, we'll keep an eye on these 4 and see how they do. And the gallbladder of baseball. Thank you for that. That was a highlight of my night. Next time I play softball and my second baseman messes up, I'm probably going to yell that out from behind. I'm come on, you gallbladder.
This is where I get clipped, right? And it's Samantha says you don't need a second baseman in order to have a successful baseball team. I can see how this is going to go.
It's legit though. You don't notice the gallbladder unless something goes wrong. So.
Yeah.
All right. So the next thing I have for y'all tonight, this is something new. As we've had some wonderful success of, let's remember, some trades and time capsule, things like that. So this is a hope of maybe something like that during the baseball season. And Oh, Bo, this is a surprise to you. Samantha and I kind of designed this a little bit. So this is a shock to you, but I think you're going to love this. Just call it as simple as it is. It's called Hit for the Cycle Trivia. Has nothing to do with hitting for the cycle, but you are going to get 4 trivia questions here. A single, a double, a triple, and a home run. And you can guess, yep, they are going to get harder. When doing this, I'm going to give you a theme, and that theme will hold true throughout the 4 questions, so at least you have an idea of where we're at. Okay, and the theme can change week from week. I'm totally fine with you guys taking a week with this as well. So, it doesn't have to be just me throwing the trivia. But, Bo, you get to be in the catbird seat today. So you ready?
Oh, boy.
You ready?
Sure.
All right. It is college baseball. We are in the baseball season. College baseball is full-blown into it. And here we go. So your single, Bo, can you name the 4 schools that have won at least 5 College World Series titles?
Probably not. Let's see. Oof. All right, let's start off with Texas. Is Texas one of them?
Texas is one.
Yeah.
They've got 6.
All right. Texas.
College World Series has been around since.
I know. It's been around for a while. All right, what about TCU? No, not TCU. Never mind.
No. Still hunting for that first one.
Yeah, they're always in it, but they never win it.
Think very chalk. Go chalk. Don't overthink it.
Okay. Oklahoma.
Oklahoma. No, and Oklahoma has one. But just that. Once you think big success 70s and 80s, another one of these big success in the 80s and especially the 90s. None of these other 3 teams have really been that
Team that
successful.
holds the
lately.
record actually hasn't won it in a while.
All right, let's go out west. Let's do
Yes.
USC.
There you go.
UCLA.
USC, yes, yeah, number 112. UCLA, no, but that is your West Coast.
Okay.
Good job on that one. Yes, USC.
Okay, East Coast. It can't be Vanderbilt, right? They just built that program.
No.
Okay.
Too recent.
Yeah, they just built that program.
Vanderbilt has 2, I believe. You're looking for people who have at least
2.
5.
Right.
So, yeah.
So I got 2. I got Texas. I got USC. Oh. What about one of the Florida teams? We got a Florida team in there, like Florida. No. Florida State.
No, Florida's not there yet, but stay in that conference. You got that
Even a
conference down
recent
right there.
winner, too. Very, very recent winner.
LSU.
LSU, there you go.
Okay.
Sitting there that they won 2023, and that was their 7th title. Your last one here, it's the reason we have the number 5. 5 being their number. They actually haven't won since 1981.
Oh, man, I'm not going to get this one. I was born in 1981.
Yeah.
Go back to something we were discussing a minute ago. Same state.
Ooh.
Something we were discussing a minute ago, but the same state. Well, we were discussing the Red Sox documentary, so it was at Harvard.
More recently than that. More recently. I don't think Harvard has ever won anything that's baseball related.
Harvard was the one that wanted to outlaw the curveball. Back
Did
way,
they even have a baseball team?
yeah, way back in the
But
day.
more recently than that. What were we just talking about a minute ago? What was the last major league team we discussed before we got into this?
Oh, God, Arizona?
Okay, so a school in Arizona.
I got Arizona State.
Yes, you do.
Is it the Devils? Is it the
It
Sun
is
Devils?
the Sun Devils.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they have 5. All right.
Okay.
Good job. So there's your single. All right. So let's get a little bit harder. I think you did fine there. All right. On the double, and this is the one that I'm kind of. This is fun. I wanted to throw this in there. Samantha doesn't know about this one, so you can play on this one, Samantha.
All right.
What school has the 3rd most College World Series appearances. They've made it to the Final Eight 24 times, and yet they've never won a title.
Texas A&M.
No.
That was a good guess, though. Yeah. They always make it and never win. All right, 28 times, but it's never won.
A&M's made it 8 times, but never won. 24. 24 was the number. 24 times.
24 times and never won. Boy.
I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this.
Who are the Buffalo Bills of college baseball?
Yeah.
It's an ACC school. Irby, is that right?
It is an ACC school.
Okay, I know who it is. Do you want me to just say it? Or?
Is it Georgia Tech?
No.
Georgia Tech has made it 3 times.
Clemson?
These guys have no. Clemson actually no. Only. Well, no. Okay, sorry. Clemson's made it 12 times, so halfway there.
Okay.
Halfway.
Oh, ACC team. See, this is the problem with all these conferences moving around. It's hard to keep track of who's where now.
Well, this is
these
true.
guys have always been ACC.
Yeah.
All right, Samantha, go ahead. I'm gonna get my single and be done.
I believe it is Florida State.
The Florida State Seminoles.
See, I always forget they were in
24
there.
appearances. 3 times they've made the championship game. They have yet to win a title. Ouch.
Wow.
And the Buffalo Bills are like,
You know, I could.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah. All right, so your triple. All right. Since 2009, all the College World Series champs have been from the Power 5 conferences, except for one team. You know who they are and what year?
All right, 2009. Or since 09, right?
Since 09. Every year, Power 5 conferences, except for this one team that had their, I mean, it was tough to say a Cinderella run because they were actually a really good team.
I have a hint that will help you get it. But it's going to be really obvious, I think. So I'm not going to say it.
I mean, the
You
one
just
that
tell me if you need it.
I want to say Rice, but they haven't won one that I can remember.
They did win one, but it was before that.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rice
Wrong part of
won
the
in
country,
2003.
Okay.
Yeah. Wrong part of the country.
Not in the Power 5.
All right, Samantha, what's your hint for him?
Turnover.
What?
Who had the turnover for their football team? Which football team had the turnover?
I have no idea. That is not a good hint.
It's a great hint. I'm sorry you missed out on the turnover. Turnover. Back me up here.
Yes, no, I know exactly. Yes, I do recognize that.
Turnover. Lord, what's that?
Instead of a turnover chain, they had a turnover. It was this disgusting, ratty-looking fur coat, and whoever got the turnover got to put the turnover on.
Yeah.
It was incredible. Yeah. Same school.
All right, Bo. Well, I'll give you your triple. You got thrown out at third.
Uh-huh.
But that's okay. It was good content. In 2016, the Coastal Carolina Chandelier.
Yeah, see, I wasn't going to get that.
Yeah.
Not a chance in
All
hell
right.
I was going to get that.
Well, then your home run pitch. I got a good ground ball pitcher here for you. This one's going to be tough, but just go with your gut and throw out something here. What does Terry Francona, Paul Skeens, Dave Winfield, Kamar Rocker, and Marshall McDougall all have in common?
That is quite the plethora of baseball people.
That is a fantastic group of players there.
They were all College World Series MVPs.
Ah, Bo, hit it out. There you go, Bo. Well done.
Good
Terry
job.
Francona in 1980, Skeens in 2023, Dave Winfield in 1973, Kamar Rocker in 2019, and Marshall McDougall for the losing Florida State Seminoles in 1999. Good job, Bo, cranking one out there.
You know what? It was the Kubar Rocker part of that gave it away. That was the only thing that made sense.
Well, there you go. There you go. Well done. Too much. I went too much. Well, not the Paul Skeens, but the rocker. Samantha and I here, I had to throw out the rocker. So.
Oh, of course.
There you go.
Of course.
Single and a home run. Good job. Drove in 2 runs. Well done. Drove in 2 runs. So.
Oh, boy. All right. Well, Samantha, anything else you want to add there?
No, you did great. That was like triple short of the cycle? That was good. Good job.
I missed on the triple and the double. You had to give me the double.
Oh, all right. Well, between the two.
Well, hey, you know what? I've got a good slugging percentage with that home run. So
yeah,
man.
You did
you
great.
Get the single first, and then the home
great.
run. So you drove the run in. You're good. 2 out, 2-run home run. Well done.
All right. Well, speaking of a team that hits a shit ton of home runs, let's talk about the Dodgers for a second, because I wanted to. We talked a little bit about this in the offseason about how the tide of opinion was turning against the Dodgers, and that's being nice. But now we actually have tangible. What's the word I'm looking for here? A tangible reason to revisit this, because we now have the rumblings that we all expected that baseball was going to that owners are going to try again to get a salary cap in the next CBA, which we all know that's going to go. Does everyone now have a legitimate reason to hate the Dodgers? Because I don't think we're having anything near this conversation if it wasn't for the offseason they just had, Samantha. I don't think this is even brought up. It's the one reason why we've had labor peace in baseball since 1994, because the owners finally gave up trying to get a salary cap, and now because of the free spending Dodgers, we're going to talk about it again.
They opened a door. It's a Pandora's box of a door. It's the kind of thing you can't shut again after you do it. And there are many reasons now to be displeased with the Dodgers, and it's not just about this. It started as everybody hates winners, right? And we were kind of really off the criticism of the Dodgers spending initially, because what we were saying is look, what baseball needs is a salary floor, not a salary cap.
Mm-hmm.
And you should be angry at your team that refuses to spend, not teams that are willing to spend whatever it takes to win. But that was before we got into a situation where we basically have somebody saying the limit does not exist and spending in a way that is impractical, not just for cheap teams. But because this was the problem before, right? We were giving the Dodgers a free pass on this, just like we do with the Yankees and other teams that we think do this right, because we were saying, hey, it's your fault if you won't spend to be competitive. Don't blame the people who are spending. But when somebody spends so much, and by the way, it's the tax loophole of it all too, right? The fact that it's and we're kicking the can down the road, and it's and you know what? The Dodgers are going to be able to do that. There are other teams out there who are willing to spend enough to satisfy us all and say, yes, you are willing to pay to be competitive, who cannot do that. And that's where I think we run into an issue with this kind of stuff. And I also think the sort of lawyerly, this is the exploitative, I have an army of lawyers going to, it's sort of the equivalent of using replay to get a guy whose foot came off the bag at second, unintended consequences stuff. And it's just kind of gross, and it's going to have really bad repercussions. And we can talk about some other things that the Dodgers did, or we can not talk about them. But, there's some other things they've done to make themselves pretty unappealing at this point in time. But this is the big one, right? Because now you're basically giving the excuse to the other owners to go after something that we know would be bad for the sport in a salary cap.
Yeah.
So
it's never going to work, and unfortunately, I think it's a topic that we're going to be talking about quite a bit going forward now. And if there is a work stoppage, the knives are going to come out for the Dodgers. That's just how it's going to be. Everyone's going to blame them for this because there was no hint of it at all. All of a sudden, now you have a couple of owners that want to push for the salary cap, and Rob Manfred's okay, let's do it, because Rob Manfred does that, right? Well, learn your lessons from 30 years ago, guys. If you need help, go look at how long it took. Go look at the fact that baseball had to allow steroids to come back. Go look at that.
Do we get steroids again if this happens? Because I am willing to consider that.
Yeah.
I am willing to open up the floor for steroids.
If we do, the Dodgers have to defer their steroid use till after the contracts are over.
That's only fair.
I mean,
That's only
It's
fair.
only fair. And look, Dodger fans, we're not coming for you, right?
No.
I don't.
No.
This is not
No.
about Dodgers fans. This is not about the players on the team. This is about the organization abusing rules. I'm sorry, you guys. I really admired your team for a long time.
I did
because
too.
I thought they were doing what they needed to do, and I thought they were doing it the right way, and they were also developing players. But like we've taken a turn here that isn't good, and this is not a knock on you or on the people on the roster in any way.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
this organization is basically abusing the rules in a way that is going to be disastrous for everybody.
Yeah.
And you can't put it back once it happened. Like
No.
I was saying before, like you can't undo this. So it's going to be bad.
Yeah. The last fight
Bridge too far.
the last fight over a salary cap literally cost Montreal its baseball team. Think about that. The Expos they were the best team in baseball in 94. Maybe a World Series winner in 94, and they're still playing baseball in Montreal if that happens. Nope. All because they wanted a salary cap.
And here we sit today with two teams.
I don't know
playing in
that
a
stops
ballpark.
the Expos from being contracted, but I do think that it cost them a World Series, probably.
Yeah.
So that's pretty brutal. But
Mhm.
mostly it's the amount of time it's going to take. Like, do you know how long we are going to be locked out if this happens?
Oh, God.
Like, it's going to be bad.
It's going to be bad.
So,
What was the 94 strike? It was a year and it wiped out a year and a half. And we started late in 1996. Right? No, we didn't. We didn't start late in 96.
no, in 95, we only played 144 games.
Right. Yes, that's it.
And we lost the World Series and a bit of the end of the season in 94.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it was costly. It was not the longest work stoppage, but this is going to be bad. And it's all because one team decided to abuse the rules. And this is where I lose any sympathy I have for whatever the Dodgers do.
Yeah.
So.
There's 30 owners out there that need to read a history book. Or go ask Bud Selig. He's still
No,
around, right?
Bud was like, just no problem. We'll just do some steroids. Everything will be fine. He fixed it. No, Bud understood exactly how to do the situation. I'm just not sure Rob Manfred is going to get there.
Yeah. Yeah. Irving, anything you want to add here?
No, nothing really to what y'all said. I mean, the Pandora's box. You're right. The potential, the bad potential this has. It's scary. I don't want to go through it. The least of the problem is us figuring out content. We will figure out content. Don't worry. But I would rather us just play baseball.
Yeah, I think all of us would.
Listen, the number of mascot segments we're going to have to do, which I know makes some of you very happy and maybe some of you not so much, but like the amount of like theoretical mascot segments that we're going to have to run if this happens. So if you don't like mascot segments, call your local baseball team. Tell them you don't want to hear about that for like a year and a half.
All right. Well, one more thing before we go and call it a week. It's time to assign a president to a baseball team, guys. And I had a little fun with this one. So, would you prefer that I tell you about the president and then the team that I'm assigning to it? Or you want to do the team first and then go into why I picked this president?
I believe we know who the team is already, don't we?
You guys do.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, then we'll just go about it that way. The team is the Atlanta Braves. We're going to assign a president to the Atlanta Braves. We're going to talk about one President Zachary Taylor, who is a decorated war hero from the War of 1812 and the Mexican-American War. Gets elected 12th president of the United States. Took office in March of 1849. Everything was fine for a year. Then he attended some 4th of July celebrations and drank a lot of ice water because it was obviously hot and there was no air conditioning in 1850. So he drank all this ice water and he ate large quantities of cherries and other fruits, which he then washed down with iced milk, which again, why are you drinking ice cold milk on a hot day? That just seems like a bad idea. Well, it was for Zachary Taylor because 1 year and 127 days into his presidency, he died from a bacterial infection in the small intestine caused by all of the bad water and bad milk and bad fruits he ate that day. Don't the Braves look like a team that looks like they have a bacterial infection?
They might die quicker, though. I thought you were going to say he died of cyanide poisoning from swallowing the cherry pits, and I was like, oh my God, they're going to die like in a month. It's going to be fast. This is interesting because my money was on U.S. Grant. I thought you were going to go a really different direction with this. I was not expecting a dead person. So excellent. Love it. Yeah, this does have a bit of, I don't know, we've been talking a lot about food poisoning on this show. I thought we were going to break that streak this week. I was wrong. And here we are again. But yes, that's tremendous. Though. That's perfect. I love it.
Irby, how about you? Any thoughts here?
No, I love the reference to the national hero victories at the Mexican American War, 1812, stuff like that. Is like because the Braves have been in some necessary battles for us lately, and done some stuff that needed to be done. But then, iced water.
Ice, yeah.
Down.
Ice water, which I mean, it's 1850. You have to wonder about the quality of ice.
Like when you talk about the history of ice and the fact that, like, at this point in time, like, you would be getting ice delivered and you would be, like, basically storing it in a shed behind your house, where the water for the ice came from. Hard to say. We didn't have refrigerators truly yet at this point in time. So, also the milk. Can we talk about the milk?
Yeah, on a hot day, why are you drinking milk? What's interesting is apparently he hit the buffet hard that day because it's not clear exactly which food was the culprit. We don't know if it was the ice water, the ice in the ice water, the ice cold milk, the cherries, or the other fruits. It seems like the largest quantity he had was the cherry and fruit tray that he apparently annihilated. But, we don't know. It's not clear.
Listen, if he was swallowing the pits, yeah, but you would die a lot quicker because then there's cyanide in the pits, right? You would die a lot faster than that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with not the fruit because it's like hard to die of fruit unless you're talking about eating a part of the fruit that is poisonous. In which case you would die a lot quicker. So I'm not going to put my money on the fruit. I'm going to put my money on the Oregon Trail water. You died of dysentery.
Well, okay.
It takes a little longer to kill you.
His official diagnosis was cholera.
Oh, well, yeah, okay. So cholera, yes, also very.
So probably the
parasitic waterborne illness. Yeah. So okay, will the Braves die of cholera by July? Maybe.
Maybe so. Yikes. Okay, well, there we go. Zachary Taylor has been assigned to the 2025 Atlanta Braves. Not somebody you want assigned to you, Atlanta. You really, really, really didn't want that.
Listen, every time we do one of these, it's like, I think we've done maybe one that didn't die in office. So, like, this is not a good thing, right? Like, they just
it's really not.
I just feel like you don't want to be the guy who has died off. I mean, this is maybe, I don't know. Is this better or worse than, like, getting shot by an anarchist? I don't know. Or being shot while you're watching a play. We haven't done Lincoln yet, actually.
No, that was the hard part of this because, like, I wanted to find a president that did not finish their term, but most of them were assassinated, which I thought was a downer. So I stayed away from the assassinated presidents. I went with the ones that died of something different.
Well, and it will be a slow death here, right? So, like, I think that makes sense. Also, like, a lot of this was about the fact, you guys, I don't even know if we mentioned this, but, like, when you're thinking of the Braves, you're thinking of the whole point was somebody who we expected to do well that isn't, which is why he was talking about how Taylor was not a person who was expected to, like, I mean, obviously none of them expect to die, but, we had hopes for this guy. But, he looked like he was going to be a pretty good president. And it turns out that we'll never know because he croaked from eating, the fruit platter / Oregon Trail water / Oregon Trail milk. Who can say?
Probably.
Anyway,
Probably a good
another
idea.
week of food poisoning. I'm sorry, everyone.
Probably a good idea that there wasn't a cheese tray there, or that he abstained from said cheese tray. Oof.
I think he just dies sooner, maybe, if he eats the cheese tray. Then he dies in
Maybe.
instead of June.
Maybe. Yeah, I could see that. Maybe.
I don't know. It's weird.
I just
This
want to
is the
see where.
second time we've had this discussion about cheese on this podcast in this capacity. Remember when we had the thing about people bringing cheese to a picnic, and the cheese like sweats, and we had a lot of conversations about bad food around here. I just saw the cotton candy French fries.
Oh God, yeah.
Games.
Speaking of dying a quick Oregon Trail death, look at those things.
That would just looking at that thing made me want to die. So, man, that out there.
Well, I'd like to know what you've also put on us here, because when Zachary Taylor we thought was going to do something, then died. The Braves we thought was going to do something disappeared. When it was over with, we ended up with Millard Fillmore. So,
well, and we have discussed
Millard
Fillmore on the show. The Millard Fillmore has been assigned in the past. Wasn't he the White Sox?
I believe he was.
Millard Fillmore may have been the White Sox.
That sounds familiar.
He definitely was introduced to the Lollygagging podcast last season. So we know how that turned out. So thanks a lot for dying on us, Zachary, because the Millard Fillmore experience, much like the Chicago White Sox experience of 2024, was not great.
All right, Irby, anything you want to add here before we call it a week?
No, that is a great way to end right there.
All right. Well, Zachary Taylor, if you're listening to the show, just feel free to haunt the Braves a little bit. Why not? But for this week, we're done. We're out of here. Wherever you're listening to Lollygagging Sports, give us a like, subscribe to the show. Help us out with that algorithm so we can get some more lollygaggers in here. Until next week, watch some baseball. It's good for you.